Eternity is a joy forever. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep it fight for us and is free. These are the first words of John Keats' famous epic poem Endimyon, 4,000 lines long. John Keats lived a very short life of 25 years. It is riddled with his disease, tuberculosis, and his financial situation was not good, but still he was able to become a mark on the world literature. John Keats was born in Finsbury Pavement near London on October 31st, 1795. The first son of a stable keeper, he had a sister and 3 brothers, one of whom died in infancy. When John was 8 years old, his father was killed in an accident by falling from a horse and broke his skull. In the same year, his mother married again, but little later separated and took her family to live with her mother. John attended a good school where he learned ancient and contemporary literature. In 1810, his mother died of tuberculosis, leaving the children to the grandmother. The old lady put them under the care of 2 guardians and left a respectable amount of money for the benefit. Under the authority of the guardians, he was taken from the school to become an apprentice to a surgeon. In 1814, before completion of his degree, John left his master after a quarrel, becoming a hospital student in London. Under the guidance of his friend Cowden Clarke, he devoted himself increasingly to literature. In 1814, Keats finally sacrificed his medical ambitions to a literary life. He soon got acquainted with celebrated artists of his time like Leghorn, Percy Shelley, Benjamin Robert Hayden. In May 1816, Hunt helped him publish his first poem in a magazine. A year later, Keats published about 30 poems and sonnets printed in the volume Poems. After receiving scarce negative feedback, Keats traveled to the Isle of Wight on his own in the spring of 1817. In late summer, he went to Oxford together with a friend, Benjamin Bailey. In the following winter, George Keats married and immigrated to America, leaving the brother Tom, who was suffering from tuberculosis, to John's care. Apart from helping Tom against tuberculosis, Keats worked on his poem Endimyon. Just before its publication, he went through hiking tour to Scotland and Ireland with Charles Brown. First signs of his own fatal disease forced him to return prematurely, where he found his brother seriously ill and his poem harshly criticized. In December 1818, Tom Keats died. John moved to Hampstead Heath, where he lived in the house of Charles Brown, while in Scotland with Keats, Brown had lent his house to Mrs. Browning. Brown had lent his house to Mrs. Browning and her 16-year-old daughter Fanny. Since the ladies were still living in London, Keats made his acquaintance and fell in love with a beautiful, fashionable girl, Fanny. Absorbed in love and poetry, he exhausted himself mentally, and in autumn of 1890 he tried to gain some distance. An unmistakable sign of consumption in February 1820, however, broke all his plans on the publication of his volume Lamia, Isabella, etc., including his most celebrated odes. In the late summer of 1820, Keats was ordered by the doctor to avoid the cold English winter and moved to warm Italy. His friend Joseph Severn accompanied him south, first to Naples and then to Rome. His health improved momentarily, only to collapse finally. He died in Rome on the 23rd February 1821. He was buried on the Protestant cemetery near the grave of Cassius Cestius. On his desire, the epitaph was 20. John Keats set foot in Rome for what he hoped would be a swift convalescence. This elegiac and fascinating book brings to the light the last days of his life, his tragically unrealized future